Yeah, technically it is an issue.
Yeah, technically it is an issue. So, hello. If you are here, say hello. I know there are a lot of lives. There are a lot of live reading sprints going on tonight. So, yeah. So if you are reading sprints, I'm trying to see. Okay. Mute. No. If you have a second, you don't have to mute yourself. If you have a second screen going, just mute that.
Oh man, I don't have one going yet.
Oh.
But it's muted.
Okay. Because I'm trying to figure out because I have a second screen that's going. Because sometimes I can't see comments. Comments get delayed. So if you all are here, say hello. Let us know where you are in the book. Is it me? Hi, T. Morgan. How are you? We'll get. Did I ever say what the plan was? I don't even know if I ever said what the plan was.
To us or them?
In general.
What is the plan?
Huh?
What is the plan, Almighty One?
Oh, don't say that.
Honestly, I just want to be like Aster. I'm gonna start it right.
So, who is this ace person saying April Fool's Day? I don't know what this is. We'll see what happens with Ace, whether Ace is a troll or not. I don't ever recall seeing Ace before. So anyway, the plan. We'll talk. We'll read. We'll talk.
Okay.
So Josh, you're on chapter 17. I am only on chapter, dare I say what chapter I'm on as the group, as the organizer of this. Dare I say it?
Do you want me to say it?
Sure, why not?
Chapter 14. I'm not laughing at you. I just thought it was funny that you were saying it.
And Ari is finished. So what we're gonna do, I'm hybrid reading it. So, are you hybrid reading it, or are you just doing it on audio?
Me? Yeah. I'm just listening to it. I started hybrid reading, but I needed to listen to it while doing other things, partly just for time things. I just don't have the time to commit to sitting down and looking at a page for that long.
Are you what speed are you listening to it on?
I told you in another video, but
did you? I don't remember.
Yeah, 1.75.
Really? Hey, MRA. Really? Wow.
Does that seem too fast to you?
Hey, MRA, what's up? Hey guys.
I'm on 1.5.
What is your normal speed that you usually listen to?
I can go up to 2. Depending.
I mean, I can go up to 2.5, but I rarely do that unless I'm really hitting a book.
Oh God, no! I cannot go up to 2. What did you say? 2.5?
Well, yeah, that's usually if I'm trying to consider skimming a book. Like
that's like chipmunks in your ear.
Oh, you get used to it. You have to work your way up, obviously. Like in another book I'm listening to right now, though, I might be, I think, at 1.95. So, like, I would say 2 is all my average go-to, what I'm hoping to make work. But for this, is like I'm intentionally slowing it down so I can appreciate it a bit more.
Okay. That's like, I'm like trying to picture this in my head on a like What did you say? 2.5?
Yeah, it depends on the book too, and
No, I
obviously,
know. I
these are
know.
the
I'm
most
just
effective.
I'm just trying to picture this on like 2.5,
I mean, I
like
could play it at 2.5. We could see what happens.
how that would sound. I'm actually pulling it up right now because does it even okay? So 2.5. Oh my gosh! On mine, it puts it in the red.
I don't know what app are you using.
Libby.
I have a generic uh, app.
Okay,
You
so
know, I can see what it sounds like.
yeah.
You can stay recorded into the machine. I assure you, Miss Hattie, you will be fine. I would like to start you on medication as soon as I...
Actually, it's not that bad. I mean, for a prolonged period of time, it might be difficult, but I can understand it for sure.
Okay, I'm going back down to my 1.5. So, who has
So what?
there's an echo.
I mean, I have the video thing. It listens to my mic.
Okay. All right. So, hello, Alexandra. All right. So, do either of you want to say anything like how you're enjoying or or in your case, Ari, how you enjoyed the book? Like, what's your favorite part so far? Um, what are you liking the least about it? Yeah. So what do you like the most? What do you like the least? And if you're finished, the same question. So in the comments, you can do that too. Hey, Val.
Who goes first?
Can go in alphabetical order.
All right. So my favorite part is the part when Theo shot the lieutenant, of course. Of course, that's my favorite part.
So just FYI, there will be spoilers. So we might want to preface that we're giving a spoiler.
Okay.
Are we spoiling beyond tonight's?
Well, Ari just spoiled Beyond Tonight.
Yeah, I know. I forgot about that though. Actually, I forgot that happened. I couldn't remember anything bad happened to him. I was like, I really hope so.
I think my least favorite, part of the book is the part where, spoiler, Giselle burns down the botanarium. Like all of that hard work that Aster did, she burned down and tried to kill herself inside of the botanarium. So I'm just like, I was in between feeling sorry for her and just being very enraged with her because she decided for Aster that her work was just gonna be non-existent anymore. So yeah. And I did finish the book. It was quite enjoyable. And I actually gave it 5 stars because I loved the prose. I loved the visual, just descriptions and everything of everything. It was just a 5-star read, just overall, as far as the story, build up, world building, all of that. It was just great. So I really liked it.
So overall, I think what I'm liking most about it is I had this memory when I first read it of so much happening at the end, and it felt like a lot of it was rushed. And now that I'm reading it again, I'm realizing, a lot happens before that to set it all up. So I do appreciate that more this time around. I think what I like least about it, I don't know. I should have gotten ready for this. I was listening to Ari talk.
You're fine.
I think, big picture, knowing where it's going, like I have some dissatisfaction with knowing how it's going to end. I mean, I recognize why it does that way, but I guess I would like a bit more. I guess I would like a bit more resolution, um, a bit more knowledge of what's going to happen. But at the same time, I recognize there's something to be said about ambiguity.
Mm-hmm.
As far as what I've read, I've disliked. I'm still not sure. I have to think about it more heavily.
Yeah. What did I? Oh, this is my third time reading this, and it's interesting because, like, the things that I didn't like in the beginning, and now that I get it now and I like it, like the first time that I read it, and now that I'm reading it for the third time, I can't find really anything that I don't like. There are, I don't know why this go around, like the trigger warnings are that are there are affecting me a lot more than they did in the first reading
Mhm.
to now. So I'm chapter 13. I like literally, I mean, that was the hardest chapter for me to read this go around. And I actually skimmed a lot of it because it was just, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that happening. And I just didn't want to revisit it. So that was the hardest. Not that I didn't like it, but I also I I like that um River Solomon doesn't give all the details. Like you said, the ambiguity of it, Josh. And you're left in your head to say, oh, your imagination just takes over as to what happened. So there's that. Um,
I think there's also a level of realism in there because she doesn't. Sorry, they don't have to. The author doesn't have to um, like play out a bunch of bad things happening, but still leave the opportunity for that having this hope, but also the reality of what will likely happen.
yeah,
Or, yeah,
yeah, and I don't know. It's kind of like, do I even need to know that
I
do I need it spelled out that happened?
I do applaud her. I do applaud my bad. I do applaud them for not, you know, painting a whole picture, especially in instances of the abuse
Mhm.
that Giselle was uh, experiencing at the hands of the guards, because you can kind of understand what's going on already,
Yeah,
but I don't want trauma to always be, laid out there on the page.
right, right. And I think that was, I mean, because just reading, I don't think that you need all the trauma laid out on the page. So I'm gonna say that I was in there's a book club. Oh, and I can't remember the name of it. And I co-hosted um, for an unkindness of ghosts with someone else. And the person that I co-hosted it, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. That's a lie. I was in the group, and then I co-hosted the next book. Wow. But anyway, there was a girl in the group who did not like it, and she said that she felt that it was trauma porn, and I get that. So I know I get what she's saying because River Solomon, even though they don't say it explicitly, it's implied. And if you're there, if you're that in that mindset, you're already going to go there. So even without it being on the page, so I understand what they're saying about it being trauma porn. Now, is it on the page? Absolutely not. But it's there. It's implied. And I tried to tell her it's not really. But who am I? Who am I? I can't even get people to like Giselle.
I mean,
So what is that heavy sigh for, Josh?
just not my cup of tea.
I
Like,
mean, yeah.
I was between two chops to the throat, and oh my gosh, what happened to Giselle? Oh, I just feel so sorry for her. That, like, I went between those two extremes, and that was the only thing. Like, I went between two extremes of emotions that did not make me feel good when it came to Giselle. It was either I was so enraged by the things that Giselle did,
Yeah.
or I felt sorry for her. I was proud of her when she shot that guard because, yeah, she came in the nick of time. But other than that, yeah, it was just those two extremes.
So what were you gonna say? What was the heavy sigh, Josh?
I don't know what it was for. I can sometimes have a hard time controlling my thoughts. I think my feelings on my sleeve. I don't love Giselle. At the same time, it's hard to hate someone who feels so out of control of, like, I can't blame them for who they are because of the situation that they're in. But yeah, I'm with everyone else who don't like Giselle.
So I kind of okay.
I do like Aster though. That's one thing
yeah.
I noticed more this go around was that I like Aster probably more, and I appreciate how they act more. I know people say, like, obviously that they might have some, she might have some awkwardness with people, but at the same time, like, I appreciate that awkwardness. I don't know. I kind of like it as in her character.
So in the Discord, I was saying that, and I think I've said it here as well on the lives, that Giselle obviously has mental health issues, and the whole time, and I've kind of been waiting for someone to bring it up, and Ari kind of did, but you didn't say it, but you kind of did, and I feel like Giselle is bipolar. Because she has those extremes. She goes from one extreme to the other. And but who am I? I am not a psychologist or anything like that. I can't diagnose her, but I would probably put her on something to control those mood swings.
Do you think that was a conscious decision on the part of River Solomon?
I do.
Okay.
I do. What I was saying in the Discord is that I think what Thayer was trying to say, was trying to make a mental health point, was that everyone, even if the trauma is the exact same, everyone is going to experience that trauma differently. And they will act accordingly. And no one, and I don't want to say especially Giselle, but that's the character that we see. Especially Giselle has had an opportunity to even heal from that trauma. and let alone get treatment for it, which we know that they're not going to get treatment for it. So it's a constant open wound, and it gets worse. It's festering, and just it's just there, and they keep adding to it. They keep cutting it. They keep re-incising it and making it bigger and deeper. So someone will never heal from it.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so
okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Finish.
No, I'm done. I was just looking at the comments.
I think that another thing is Fair tried to show how a lot of women, especially during the antebellum period, were dealing with trauma. Some of them were not able to handle it. Some of them were going slightly crazy because, like, in that type of situation, when you're in an environment where someone has so much power over you that they can just do whatever they want. It's just one of those things that I guess I think that Giselle was just like dealing with it the same way a lot of women in that period would have dealt with it. It's just that it's on a different type of setting, just with a little bit of sci-fi, injected in there, and it's the same thing. It's basically a mirror that you're seeing in this book. And I think Fair did a really, really amazing job of doing that, of, reflecting that mirror of what people were going through. It was kind of the same, but, they were allowed to read, they're allowed to, know certain things, and they're very intuitive and all of this stuff. Whereas the other difference is in the antebellum South, they were not educated. And I think that's what saves Aster and Giselle just a little bit in this story, because they are actually, educated. They know these things and they're able to read between the lines.
But I think they're the exception, not the rule.
And that's true too.
Yeah, because Amalusine was like, I'm going to make sure that they get educated and learn, and Aster learn her mother's language. So I think, they're definitely the exception, not the rule. So, wow, that seems really big.
I guess that means we should have another reading now.
When you said it,
Very long.
I took it totally out of context until I looked down and was just like, oh, that's what she was talking about.
Wow. Wow. Is that like some kind of weird font or something? Okay, whatever. So in the comments, let us know. And I'm going to go through the comments real quick to see what we have. Val thanked for the spoilers. Val is on chapter 25.
Oh.
Giselle. Yeah.
To be fair, I feel like you probably saw that something like that was going to come in the end.
You know what? I mean, when I was reading it for the first time, I kind of saw that something was going to happen, and I made note of it. That something was going to happen.
I expected more to happen. I thought I don't want to spoil
Yeah,
it, but I thought it was going to be much more than what it was, which again would have been more fantastical, I think, than it is realistic.
yeah. So we definitely need a map of how the ship is laid out. So,
Yep.
if you know Bayer by chance sees this, note to self in the next printing, can we have a map, please, and thank you.
Yeah, I even on the second go around, I'm still confused on locations.
Yeah, there are scenes that are cringy, but a lot of them are off page. Yeah, that's true. Would have liked a perspective of an upper decker other than Theo. Actually, that's a really good point because we only get Theo's perspective. I mean, we see nasty ass uncle or lieutenant, but we see him at his worst. Does he even have a good side? We don't know. Do we care? Should we care? No, not really.
He's
Uh,
just despicable.
he's just what?
He's just despicable.
Yeah. Yeah. So I said this. It was like I kind of want to know Lieutenant's backstory, like maybe a short story kind of thing. It does not have to be like what's her face did with what was it? The Hunger Games, that last book.
Yeah, whatever it is, that thing with
Yeah,
the green
we
cover.
don't. I don't
I'm
need
not
that.
reading that.
I don't need all that. I mean, just give me a short story. Tell me what his backstory is. Because I did want to know more about him, and I don't know why. I was just kind of and people keep talking about the his predatory nature, and I just want to know. I kind of feel, oh, there's some abuse there too. He just didn't get that way. I just want to know how he got that way for whatever reason. Lots of trauma. Um, no to Giselle. Okay,
Gonna vote Giselle off the island.
I know. Giselle was voted off the island like on the first live stream, basically. Like she's seriously paddling up the river without a paddle and even a boat. So
Michelle said that in earlier streams.
yeah,
She's
so
not paddling upstream. She's swimming upstream or trying to
yeah,
swim.
we're trying. Yeah, y'all have put her out there, and anyway, so
We tried to pull her back though. We tried.
you know what? Spill, Josh.
Okay, where do I start? Oh my god.
Aster's favorite character. Giselle has lost her humanity, but Aster never does. That's a very good point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Giselle got what she wanted in the end. True. Going to. I feel like Aster was Giselle's punch bag where she gets. Oh yeah. But see, Giselle didn't know. None of them. I don't think any of them really and truly know how to express emotions. I mean, look at Ama Lucy. She told Aster that she was gonna punch her, and she punch her teeth out or tooth out, whatever.
She said she was gonna give her a black eye and knock
Yeah,
out.
knock her, like lay her out, like just lay her out, and she was gonna be swallowing her teeth.
So I was
So
like, what?
I definitely think they wouldn't go back to Earth or to any other planet because it's the power dynamic. Nobody wants to sacrifice their power.
Yeah.
And I think it's the power dynamic that probably produced the lieutenant in the first place. I mean, that's that kind of environment that fosters that as success, as the ideal. This is kind of tangent, but this book, the setup of Matilda, reminds me a lot of the TV show that was once a movie, Snowpiercer, with Daveed Diggs as the star of the TV show on TNT. And it doesn't look. It's a different type of structure. It's the same sort of. It's split more like along class lines, and you see similar themes when it comes to class and power dynamic and trying to sustain the system, not wanting the system to break down because then you would lose control. It doesn't matter if there's actually a world out there. Not to spoil season 2 of that show, but that's something that's been in my mind.
Snowpiercer. It definitely gives me Snowpiercer vibes. Like that train going around and around the earth, and they're stuck in that car with all the cargo, and it gets kind of insane back there.
Yeah.
Someone, and I think it was T. Morgan in the Discord, asked if I thought that, or maybe it wasn't just directed towards me, but asked if Lieutenant thought that there was like a livable planet out there, or Earth or something like that. And my response to that was, I kind of feel like the sovereignty, there, two things. I kind of feel like the sovereignty did know, and just like what you were saying, Josh, is that they couldn't go because if they did, they would lose. They were fearful of losing power.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other part of me says that they were unaware that there was another place out there. And we know that Loon found out that they were off course. And that could have just been a technical thing and that there was nobody bright enough to figure it out, which I hope whoever, is piloting your shuttlecraft knows that they're off course. But and Loon died before she had an opportunity to say anything or say, okay, there's a planet that we can go to. I found a planet, we can go to it and we can get back on course. But I kind of feel like it's the first thing I said is that the sovereignty knew, and they deliberately, they know they're off course.
Mm-hmm.
And they're choosing not to get back because there's nothing going on there. They have it great, and they've got an ice rink. They have, which I am perplexed about. How the hell do you have an ice rink in space?
Right.
So so that's just me, but whatever. And so they're living the life, and they've got mansions that they're living in, which is another question that I have. How do they have mansions? I know it's not mansions; it's like apartments, I'm sure. But how do they have this? And how many decks do they have? Is it a small population like we talk about the 1% here?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I need the map.
Yeah.
We definitely need a map.
Yeah. So, every deck has specialties. Yeah, I wish we could get the short story or something to this book. Yeah, I do too. Cool. Whoa, what happened? It's always interesting to get the perspective of the bad guy. Yeah, I'm always rooting for the bad guy. I don't know what that says about me, but I didn't root for him here.
I think to have sort of a one reason maybe was not to have the lieutenant's perspective is that from the outside it's easy to see him as the big bad, and I imagine to give his perspective, we'd have to see more dimensions there because we can't just imagine he's just pure evil. And I guess how does that fit into the overarching narrative without sort of messing it up?
Yeah, there's not a lot of emotional intelligence. There's not a lot of emotional stability. I feel like it doesn't fit their religious boundaries to believe they have gotten to the promised land with a ship full of sinners. Yeah, because it says it at the very beginning. Chaos.
The kingdom is just around the corner. It's always what it is.
Yeah. Josh, you have a very tenuous relationship with.
Religion?
Yeah.
Yes. I feel like there's some imagery with Christianity there.
Some imagery of Christianity.
I don't know.
Like they didn't put any man.
I feel like Christianity is just one of those religions that preaches this doomsday to, incite fear into everyone, and then kind of just be like, all right, cool, we converted so and so and so and so. Two more saved. It's just like, okay.
Okay, so we're gonna get started. So let us know in the comments or the chat how long for the first sprint. I guess we can start with 15, 20, 30. So let us know. 45, no, Josh.
I didn't say that. Somebody in the comments did.
This right here says Josh.
We don't do 45.
I'll meet in the middle. We could do 60.
60 is not in the middle.
It'll leave us with 15 minutes left and not at the 9th hour.
I'm gonna go with a no on that, Josh. So I see 230s.
That's equal to 60.
I see 330s. So does one of those 30s cancel out the other 30 and make it 30? Is that what we're saying?
It's a 90.
Like 2 negatives equal a positive? Is that right?
What I see is a universal 30s and up. It's democracy.
I don't know what that means, Josh.
Which part? 30 or
Because I'm only seeing 30.
Oh boy.
I mean, do you see more than 30? I'm confused. I mean, less than 30?
All right, so we're gonna do 30. And let's share screen.
That's so long, though.
What?
I'm joking. I'm sorry. I'll stop.
What?
It's weird.
It is not long, Josh.
It's not. It was a joke. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'll stop.
you don't have to. It's fun. All right, so happy reading, everybody. right. So how did we do?
I got through about 3/4 of chapter 20.
Oh my gosh.
Is that right? Yeah.
I'm so far behind.
Every chapter is about 15 minutes for me. So
Yeah. I'm so far behind. I'll get there. So what are your thoughts so far?
well, I just saw is it Flick's their name, right? I forgot that happened. Honestly, I for some reason I thought that was when something happened to Giselle. For some reason, I think I remembered things mixed up or something, but I forgot that he just killed his child. Spoilers for previous chapters.
I think whoever is in here, whoever is left in the chat,
It's further than me, I'm pretty sure.
yeah. So I don't think that you're spoiling anything. The weaponization of religion. Religion is always has always been weaponized, and it's so disturbing how it is weaponized to get people to toe a line.
Was religion a theme in the Deep?
No, I think no.
I didn't think so because I haven't made it far in Sorrowland, but it makes it very clear very early on that it's going to be a sort of critique on religion in some ways.
But Saruland?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't get an arc of Saruland. I'm a little salty about that. But it's okay. Because I'm going to buy it. It's all right. But anyway. So, Ari, I know you're reading something else, but
I just read about 20 pages of Amari and the Night Brothers. But I was thoroughly disgusted by the whole Flick being killed and of course Aster, blames herself, as she blames herself for a lot of things. So of course, I'm sitting here like Flick didn't deserve to die like that.
no.
At all.
Flick didn't. I mean, no one deserves what they're getting. It's so everything. And wasn't it like a guillotine?
No. Flick actually got lethal injection. The guillotine was for somebody else.
Okay. I can say, I mean, I guess if he's going to kill a child, I mean, lethal injection is humane.
Maybe that's like he had to have some semblance of pretend humanity
Yeah.
to justify it. It's just like obviously it's especially dark because of the fact that even in his warped perception of what is right and wrong, Flick did nothing wrong, even in that warped reality that he lives in. And everyone knows that. Well, maybe not everyone. I don't know. There are some upward deckers who probably buy into whatever rhetoric he spits out.
I would imagine that would be the case, that there would be people that would buy into it, and think that it was okay and not be mortified, and say that okay, and say that you're wrong in doing this. They're just to show what was their offense in order to warrant this level of punishment. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think we've seen. I not to say the obvious, but it's kind of mirroring some issues with things that happen today, and how easy it is to for people to see blame or to see to turn a victim into the monster. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, and that's that. And see, I think that's that's the thing with this novel too, is that all the victims, that basically everybody that's on the lower decks are the victims of horrible whatever punishment, crimes, brutalities, and things like that. But yet they're the ones that are considered the monsters, whereas the people that are running the show
Mhm.
that's doing all of these horrendous things, they are, what is it in chapter 14? He said, is it chapter 14? Yeah. Lieutenant said that punishment is a gift from the heavens, a chance for us to right our wrongs and narrow the gulf of sin. What the hell? I had some
It
words.
sounds like some cult ass shit.
Exactly.
It sounded very similar to how I was raised to Christianity.
Sounds like some fundy type bullshit.
Are you Southern Baptist?
I was Pentecostal. Was that right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I did dabble in baptism and Baptist, ideology in my later teen years.
Okay. Say no more. Yeah, and then Lieutenant refers to himself as being second only to God himself.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute. I mean, how do you bestow such a title upon yourself? I mean, you're really full of yourself. And like, you could see in chapter 14, when Theo comes into contact with Lieutenant, like, Theo is afraid of him, but Theo pulled away from the handshake. So, knowing what I know about Lieutenant, I kind of feel like maybe Lieutenant tried something with him and didn't get anywhere. And now he has his eye on Aster because
He's jealous.
There was definitely jealousy there. Especially when he accused her.
What'd you say, Ari?
Especially when he accused her of having sex with Theo.
Yeah.
That was kind of disgusting for him to decide he wanted to discuss their sex life that they didn't have, and she had to literally defend herself and defend Theo.
I did love how she said that maybe Theo has more respect, is better, more religious than he is. Whatever it was she said, that was probably not good for her in the long run, but very satisfying.
Yeah, I mean, Aster, I like that Aster didn't really have a filter. And that's what got her in trouble for the most part. But So I'm still in chapter 14. Chapter 14, there a lot happened in chapter 14.
What's happening?
Huh?
I'm saying what's happening. Remind us.
No. Oh, remind you. So this is where Aster, after she gets out of the box, and she makes it to Theo's office, and he cuts her hair. He says that she needs to get to Edek, I believe. Either way, it's for the coronation of lieutenant, and
Okay.
she needs to get to whatever that deck is, and he's telling, and so he goes. So Aster goes to lieutenant, not to lieutenant. Lord have mercy, goes to Theo, and or is that chapter 15? That's chapter 15. My bad, y'all. I'm so confused.
It's okay. It's not a big of a deal. I was just trying to remember.
No. The what I wanted to say about it though was that how how Aster, after she got a brand new pair of clothes, and Theo told her that she was gonna have to get in to Edek as a man, and after all is said and done, how she felt like a brand new person, and
She felt like it freed her.
it freed her. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Thank you. The haircut. Oops, my sticky is over top of it. The haircut, and contrary to her initial fear, had unlatched and freed her. So I thought that was interesting how River Solomon goes back and forth with Aster, that and how Aster's sex is fluid, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
She's neither female nor is she male, but she has female characteristics, but she also has male characteristics. So I like that. I like that there's this character that is, I don't really want to say androgynous, but for lack of a better word,
She's fluid. She's more fluid, more, you
yeah.
know.
She's definitely much more fluid, and looking at chapter 15, it's like maybe she feels more comfortable as a male than a female, or maybe she doesn't care. And your opinions, anybody's opinions?
Well, later on in the book, they do have this discussion between Theo and Aster, and where she says, "You don't look like a man," and he says, "Maybe I'm not," and it just becomes this whole. I like this very well thought, well felt moment between her and Theo, like right before everything hits, like before all the shit hits the fan. There's this like exchange between them where they were talking about their fluidness, not in those words, but like hinting at it more so than not.
One thing I always struggle with is when I'm talking about Aster, I feel as though using she, her just seems inappropriate because it doesn't really encapsulate who or her whole identity. And it's like such a big part of the book, but I also don't know if it's spoilers to refer to her as they, them, because it's almost something gets revealed later in the novel. But when I hear someone talk about her, they always use she, her, so I tend to gravitate towards that. But I always saw her as more maybe non-binary or, like Ari said, fluid.
That's the way I've thought of Aster as non-binary, but I think I remember reading, I think it was an NPR thing article, and the interviewer referred to Aster as they them, and River Solomon said no, that it's she her. So there
Whoa, there are fluid femmes.
mhm.
So in this case, Aster could be a fluid femme, but also if you think about the social concepts on the ship, they probably didn't have a word for it, depending on how their vocabulary was built. They didn't have a term or anything for it. They just, described her as looking more masculine and Theo looking more feminine and, being a little bit more, fluid in that way. But they didn't have terms for it.
Okay.
Yeah, Flick is they, and
Yeah.
but I think everybody on the ship, even the men were, I think it said the men were considered females until they chose a profession,
Thank you.
Yeah.
or until they were sorted, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She was exposed to different manners of self-identification through her work on multiple decks. Yeah. But still stuck with yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's see. It's easy to point out the racism, misogyny, and anti-queerness, but what allows it to be possible? Yeah. So, do you have anything else before, or if anybody else in the comments has something that they want to talk about in particular? Because I personally could keep drilling down into different things that I've read so far, but I don't want to do that because it takes a while. So if you, in the comments, ask any questions or make any comments about what you've read, what you're reading so far. So share. Do y'all have, Josh or Ari, y'all have anything else y'all want to say about it?
I think for me, the situation with Flick was the biggest thing that I was thinking about after this last reading session. Just the last big thing that stuck out.
The situation with Flick, are you talking about Flick's murder?
Yeah.
Mm.
So I'm going to ask this. How do people feel? I know I say, what do you think? But I'm just curious about feelings.
Mm.
What do you, I know that's kind of a loaded question. I know people feel some type of way about Giselle. But what do we feel about like Aster and Aunt Melusine and Theo?
So about the situation, I feel hopelessness. About Aster, I feel I don't know, a sense of connection, a little bit of pride. Not like she's proud, but like I'm proud of how she handles herself, given the situation she's in. Um, that's all I can think about right now. I don't know. I can't hear you. You muted yourself.
Oh, my bad. I was like, it's a hard question. I mean, most people don't, when we talk about books, we really don't talk about how we feel. And it's more about what we think.
I mean, overall, I feel good about the book, which is a weird way of talking about such a dark story. I do feel as though when I left the book the first time, I gave it between a 4.5 and a 5-star. And since I left it, I was wondering if maybe I was just fresh off the high of reading my first River Solomon book, and knowing you had really hyped it up for me. But now rereading it, I still feel like that rating stands, based off how I'm feeling throughout it, as far as how well it resonates with me, how good the writing is, and how well the story's crafted. So in that sense, on a large scale, I feel good about the quality of the book, which I guess is obvious.
Yeah. That's fine. I agree with this. T. Morgan. Theo is trapped. And there are so many things that we can say about people being trapped on here. And I mean, they're trapped in this ship that's going nowhere. And they're not free to be who they're not free to be their best selves, and to, like, live their lives the way that they would, live their lives. So there's so much to be said about being trapped in here. What about family? The notion of family.
I don't think there's any actual notion of family. You can't have family in an environment like that. You try to make some type of semblance of a family in an environment like that, but you'll never actually have it, because at the end of the day, everyone is kind of just pulled away from each other. And just like they took Theo away from Aunt Melusine, they could just basically pull any child away from their parent at any given time, whenever they decide to. So there could be a semblance of family, but it'll all be just an illusion that can be broken at any point.
The reason why I brought that up is because I mean, there are family units. They're not traditional what we consider traditional family units.
True.
Except for, like, on the upper decks, and even those are dysfunctional. But there is family, and family doesn't have to be blood. And that's
True.
And Esther referred to Giselle as her sister, and like they were the closest thing that they had to family.
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
I mean, their relationship definitely feels like a sibling relationship too.
Yeah. As dysfunctional as that sibling relationship is. And as problematic as it is. And Aunt Melusine is the mother.
Mm-hmm. But she's also like a mother to Theo.
Yeah. And she's also Theo's like actual spoiler alert if you're not there. She's actually Theo's mother.
Yeah.
So, yeah, found family is huge. I think.
Yeah.
I felt horrible and sick through much of it, which I appreciate given how closely we walk through the perspectives of the people suffering. Yeah. It so in reading what you've read so far, wherever you are in the book, what has you oh gosh, I know English. Woo!
What has we?
No.
What has we what?
So, having read at whatever point that you're in right now, what are you thinking about the most? Does that make sense?
I guess. I guess I'll go first.
Sure. Why not? Ari's done.
Yeah. I suppose I guess I'm curious to see, even though I know what's going to happen, I'm curious to see how the dynamic of the ship shapes. I think at some point we're supposed to think that this is all supposed to be challenging the dynamic of the ship itself. And I remember the first go around thinking about how that was going to be playing out. And now I'm continuing to try and figure out how are things escalating? How do we get to a point that we're going to get to? And I guess what are the details that led to that? I don't know if that's a good answer or not, but that's the main thing that I'm looking out for, those sort of key details that, or not details, are those key moments that lead to that I may have missed out on or not recognized the first time.
Yeah. I think for me, like one of the things that I'm constantly thinking about is the how they're surviving. And I don't mean just like how the ship is broken down, like the field decks and all of that. I mean, how are they surviving, like mentally and emotionally, and how are they doing this? What support systems do they have they created? I think that's one of the things that I constantly think about. In this, I mean, a place where you have artificial sun, artificial everything. You don't. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, I think it says somewhere that the days, you just don't know what day it is or time of day it is. You know nothing. So it's just kind of weird how they're making. I want to know how they're making it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's a much better answer than what I gave.
I mean, I think it's different for each character.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Esther has a solace when she's working with Theo. And as for Giselle and Aunt Malusine, like these people are literally holding on to their sanity by a thread, a very, very thin thread.
Yeah.
And as much as they want to be support systems for each other, each of them have their own problems that they're dealing with. So
Yeah.
it's like barely holding on.
I agree. So found family. Val, an overall feeling of anger. Yeah, this is supposed to be 300 years in the future and no progress. has been made with racism. That sucks. Is the Solomon's way of saying that it's never going to change. Yeah. Looking at what's going on right now, I can say yeah. I mean, in 2021, what's going on right now?
I mean, it's curious to think about how the current situation would evolve into something like this. It's easy to see how it could happen, but in some ways, it seems more overt in the system we have now. But it also is easy to see how things might progress. Like perhaps the system started out separated on a what's the word I'm looking for, a capitalist system, and then that itself sort of devolved into a more primal way of differentiating people. Or are we to believe that it was been like this since the creation of Matilda, since the ship left?
That's a very good point. I don't know. Because I don't know. Somebody said we need a prequel. That actually would not be a bad idea. I thought this
Here's the prequel.
Yeah, I thought this too, T. Morgan, about how Esther has all of this put on her, and it's kind of like a Moses-like thing. So, all right. So, I reset the timer. How is another 30 okay? Or what? What are we thinking? Josh says 31 minutes. Josh, okay.
I was trying to be more reasonable.
So that is very reasonable. So anybody else have anything that they would like? Ari says 35. So are we talking about 32.5? Is that what we're talking
I'm willing to raise my number to a 35, to be fair.
we just like poking needles
prime
in
numbers. And also prime numbers.
I did not even think about
just
that.
like getting on her last nerve.
Oh,
Throw us out of the live.
I'm gonna eject you. So okay, so I have 31, 35, 33, 34.
That's not prime. It's not going to work.
That is definitely not a prime number.
Not going to work. Unacceptable.
Okay, so the unkindness of comments.
There's a slight delay in my comments that I see than what you see. Like you read them out, then they come like magic.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I hear you talk to me about it before it actually shows up for me.
Oh, sweet. 33, 34. Okay. T. Morgan, you can't change your answer. You can't go from 34 to 37.
Let's just spend another 30 minutes talking about it to figure out exactly what we want and go with it.
I'm just looking. So I will do this. Reset. Huh?
Take the average, and then we'll find the standard deviation.
Dude, no, I don't do averages. So you can do an average. You can tell me what the average is.
Looks like I think the average would be 45.
That is not the case. That I know.
You can trust me, I'm a scientist.
No. And okay. Well, we may not get anything because for some reason
I feel like 30 to 35 would be a reasonable answer here.
it is the reasonable answer, and that's what I'm going to do. 35 minutes.
Yes.
Don't say I never gave y'all nothing. So, happy reading. Oh, wait. No, I can't do that yet. Sorry, my bad, y'all. What the heck am I doing? This is like... This is like always first time. I always mess up. All right. There we go. So, happy reading. Have fun. Okay. So, where are you, Josh?
Just started chapter 23.
Okay. I'm on chapter 20. I'm about to start 22.
You got that far that quick?
No, I didn't.
Last time.
I cheated. I totally
Of
cheated.
course.
So at the end of chapters, I don't know if you can see this, but at the end of chapters, I make chapter notes and summaries. So I just read over those. And my my highlights and stuff. So that's what I did to refresh my memory.
All right.
So I totally cheated.
I won't tell on you.
You won't tell on me? Well, I'm
We
okay.
are kind of live.
What did you say?
Everybody, I said we are live, but I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. So, so how are you feeling? What are you thinking?
Good question. I feel like we should normalize not thinking at all, because I feel like that's what I always do is just not think. Um, right now, I was thinking about the most recent thing that I was reading about, which was basically a character who found a way to pass in the upper deck by taking over the position of someone else.
Yeah.
And the way that's shaped his personality, but also how I guess he's able to sort of shed it in some ways when forced to do so.
Mhm.
Um, trying to think, I feel like I don't know. I haven't read a lot of books that have used passing as a plot point, so I can't really compare it very well. But
Okay. So, because that was one of the things that I wanted to talk about anyway was passing. So question for anybody in the chat. Your thoughts on what is that character's name? I can't think of his name. Begins with a C. I can't think of his name. But anyway, so the character Cassidy, yes, Cassidy, is a code. That's right. T. Morgan said Cassidy is a code switching expert. He certainly is. So for those in the chat, did you see? How do you feel about Cassidy? Code switching and passing, and what's the significance of his character passing? I mean, knowingly passing, not like Theo passing, but he's unaware to some, you know. I hope I'm making sense.
I think so.
Yeah. So, passing, I mean, we'll just outside of the book. Passing for Black people, or okay, I'm just gonna say Black people in this context is huge in the Black community, because a lot, and mm, I don't know if I want to say it like that, but once upon a time, the lighter, obviously, the lighter you were, the better, and it still holds true today. But there were communities that prided themselves on being able to pass, and they would. Okay, there's an echo. I don't know where it's coming from.
Was it?
So people prided themselves on passing, and they would not. If it's kind of like, we know Britt Bennett's A Vanishing Half,
Mhm.
where and that's a very real thing, where you leave whatever behind in order to advance yourself, because having darker skin is not going to help you get anywhere. So in Cassidy's situation, it's truly helping him because he's learning medicine. But yeah, as T. Morgan says, she still has to work the field deck. Um, so, but it's still being beneficial, and I'm wondering if um, Aster's mother could pass, because she had privileges too. Like, she was in engineering, and I'm just curious what people's thoughts are on. And I didn't really do a good job about talking about passing, but it's just the bottom line. It affords you more privileges. You can do different things. You can get ahead. That's just the bottom line. So I'm just curious as to what people in the chat think about Cassidy and his ability to pass, and why he chooses to do that. And on top of that, he looks down on Aster. You didn't spoil it. I'm assuming that the person he was acting as is white. Maybe. And I don't think that they have, like, on the ship, whether or not you're Irish or whatever. I think it's just very basic. So he's not up there, but he does gain privileges. Yeah. It seems like race is not the primary means of otherness. Yeah, it is not the primary means. It is not. It's very much a caste system. I think it's very much a caste. It's separated by race, but it's also separated by caste and class. So, because if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, there is a part in there where it says that either your path, your career is chosen for you, based on, like, where you are. So if I'm not right about that, please correct me. That sounded like a pointed comment. What are you talking about?
When Miss Awesome Saucy asked if we had talked about it, and I said if we hadn't already, it's spoiled now. I meant because we mentioned it earlier.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I was like, oh, it sounds like I'm talking about her comment spoiling it. I didn't mean it that way. Like, it sounds like I was attacking her. I did not mean it that way at all.
Okay. Cassidy was doing right by himself amid all that suffering. That proximity had him doing too much. But one less suffering without forcing someone else to take its place is fine by me. Okay. No worries. Didn't take it that way. Seems like they had a whole system of trying to replace dead mid-deckers when viable. Yeah, because what's his name?
Seamus.
Seamus, yeah. When people died, he was in the business of selling identities.
Yeah.
Like identity theft. and well, we know that's how Cassidy got his identity.
Yeah.
Um
Apparently, it was Seamus's brother who died, and he gave him his identity, which is kind of savage if you think about it.
well, I mean it is, but at the same time not so much, because obviously Seamus's brother could pass to some degree.
True.
And why not gain the system? People do it all day, every day. So why not? And it's kind of like, infiltrating. You get enough people and you can perhaps overturn, the overturn upper deck society.
Yeah.
There's an upper decker who might not be too bright and is assigned to be a guard. Okay, so for real, when they were going to the coronation,
Yes.
and
she gave him a nickname and everything.
Yeah, and Theo was like, "Oh, all of them aren't as stupid as whatever his name was," and Aster was like, "I highly doubt that." Like, you go, Aster.
I'm expecting them to be that.
Yeah, she's
like,
I was like, "Okay, Aster, you keep on speaking your mind, speak your truth." Go ahead.
I think there are moments where you can see Theo kind of trying to get under Aster's skin. And it's kind of cute, but it's kind of like, okay, Aster's not going to get annoyed. She's just going to tell you the truth and keep it moving.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I love about Aster's character, is that she says what she has to say and she's done with it.
Right.
And please let's not revisit it, because I've already said what I needed to say. And I love that about her. And so in chapter 20, because like I said, I jumped and I'm just gonna say this. Where's chapter 20? Oh, there it is. Okay, so when Aster was on where is this? Wherever it's basically the trash place. So the food and all that stuff goes down to there, and they do what they need to do with it. And one of the guys says something about Aston being, like cute or whatever, and she just starts to whoop ass. Like, she is.
Didn't she shatter like his knees or something?
Yeah. She kicked ass and took names. But what I was looking at is that I'm not a child. No, not that. My whole page is practically marked up. Where she's talking about how I'm in the wrong freaking chapter, y'all. No wonder I can't find what I want. So she's like, no, you can't touch me. No one can touch me without my permission.
Yeah.
And I was just like, she has had enough of being assaulted, being brutalized. And I look at it and I'm not putting Aster and Giselle on the same playing field at all. But Giselle has had enough of it as well. She just doesn't know how to fight back against that. Whereas Aster, on the other hand, Aster can and will fight back. And Aster has been fighting back in her own way forever. And it's always gotten her in trouble. But I just wanted to bring that up because and the differences and the strength that Aster has it's amazing. She's mentally strong, she's emotionally and physically. So any
Embracing
thoughts? Huh?
what? I was just
Okay.
reading Salter's comment about how
Which
she's
one?
embracing. Wait, no, not that one. I think she's also feeling her more masculine presentation a bit too much, which I wasn't sure if he was talking about the aggressiveness that comes with it's often associated with masculinity, toxic masculinity, perhaps.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about toxic masculinity, there's an abundance of that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's probably all they see.
Yeah.
The toxicity of all the men that are on this ship. Because not only are the guards brutalizing them, but the men who work in the garbage disposals are brutalizing them too.
Yeah. And they're brutalizing each other.
And we talked about how the lieutenant might have come to be, and I mean, it's this kind of system, right, with toxic masculinity, where like maybe the first version of the person in charge wasn't as bad as lieutenant, but in this closed system, it's only a matter of time before the system produces lieutenant as he is. This is the end result of this closed world.
And closed world, closed society. Just everything. I mean, they are completely cut off. Yeah, got that. So seems like they had a whole system of trying to replace dead. Yeah, okay, talked about that. A projector. Seamus was a hustler, certainly was. I mean, that's smart to do that, to gain way up in order to live a better life, but also looking down on the below isn't okay either. No. And I mean, people do that on a regular. They make it and then they forget where they came from. And so they look down on those people or that situation. If they make a movie of this, Giselle is going to steal the show.
Yeah, I wonder how you would portray Aster and still be able to get an insight into her, because she is so visually guarded often, at least early in the book.
But she's also a complex character.
Yes, I guess what I'm asking is how much of that complexity could be visualized on film versus getting this insight we have from her perspective.
It would I think it would probably have to be done through other characters.
Yeah.
I think her story would have to be told through other characters. We could see her like going through the various bulkheads or whatever, doing her tapping and stuff like that.
I've seen movies that have sort of visualized internal dialogue where you
Yeah,
sort of the person imagines they're having a conversation with someone.
yeah, I would imagine that would be a lot.
Yeah.
Um, I would imagine that would be a lot. I mean, if a movie would ever to be done, I gotta get a new book. My book's coming apart. But I would imagine that. Oh, I wonder who would play Aster. I don't know. Salter, who do you think would play Aster? Who could play Aster? Since you brought up the movie, can we talk? And Giselle. Can we talk about Vivian's ass getting her just desserts from Aster? Yeah, what do you want to talk about? Yeah, Vivian got a can of whoop ass sprayed on her. I mean,
And
all
I
the way down. Yeah.
and it wasn't even just Vivian coming at her that way. It was because she had that conversation with Aunt Melusine first. She was already mad, so she came in boiling.
Yeah.
She was ready.
So, I mean, Vivian was working her way up to that ass beating, though.
Right.
She had a couple of other incidents, and Aster was like, "Okay, I'm gonna let it go this time."
Right.
And,
Vivian been running her mouth.
yeah, Vivian's a problem. So,
Beat her so bad they had to move her out of the cabin.
out of the cabin, and that right there, when I read that scene, I was like, "Go, Aster!" And anybody else that want to pile up on her,
I was sitting there like this the whole time,
yeah.
just reading
Anybody
one
else
hand on the book. It's
to
like,
them with a scar. I did, but I have notes so I don't spoil ahead. Just read the last chunk at the beginning of this live, so they wouldn't spoil it for me. He was displaying hypermasculinity because of fear of being outed. Yeah, but who there didn't know?
right.
That's
And
my question.
And I think that's part of the sovereign's problem too, because he is literally trying to, you know, push down his feelings for Theo and maybe other men he might have feelings for. And part of that is him being hypermasculine, mean, ugly, and just downright trash to everybody else.
Well, and then you can't have him, being with another man, because then that plays into what they said earlier about chaos and the sins and stuff like that. So he has to be pure and make sure that everybody else remains pure as well. And in doing so, I think,
You're
yeah, like,
another word for terrorized.
exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, if basically, to put it simply, if he can't have it, no one can.
Right.
So there you have that. And Lieutenant, I think as if we're talking about that, as long as he is unable to, as long as his feelings for Theo are unrequited, then it's going to be hell on Matilda
Everybody. Everyone.
and everybody
Specifically Esther.
specifically Aster, because Aster has Theo's attention. It is, and in here, in I forgot what chapter it was, but it was wherever Aster got caught, and Theo was like, I think I could, rehabilitate her, for lack of a better word, show her discipline and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then Lieutenant says that Lieutenant is the husband and Theo is the wife.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ugh, really? We're going there? I didn't remember that being said before, but it's there. And then I thought about how the upper deckers, how Giselle and Aster, they were like playing out house based on the upper deckers, and the abuses that the husbands doled out to their wives.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is just, it's crazy.
I mean, that's all they've seen all their lives. They don't see any actual family units in the lower decks like that, not to that extent. So when they see a husband wife type of deal, they think that is supposed to be the standard of what it's supposed to be, of course, because that's all they see.
Yeah, if you don't know anything else, that's what you have to go on. She felt more comfortable with her male persona in terms of confidence and such. I think she felt more comfortable with, and give me your opinion, y'all's opinion. I think one of the reasons why she felt more comfortable in her male persona is because she wasn't being bothered.
Definitely.
And she was able to walk around freely. And this is something else that I was thinking about when I was reading this chapter, and Aster is saying that no one can touch me without my permission. And that is how I'm just going to say specifically Black women are assaulted at a higher rate than any other race and ethnicity, as far as sexual assaults are concerned. And I was just thinking about that, and how we're not allowed agency and we have higher expectations that are placed upon us.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
I think another thing is because a lot of times in our families, in Black women's lives, there are always uncles, cousins, aunts, people that are surrounding them, but there's always that one uncle or that one cousin. Sometimes it happens within the family, and then the family will literally, build up a wall around the person who is the offender. And that happens a lot too. So I think more so than not, our agency is not taken seriously. And when we do decide to say something about it, it's like, okay, are we going to, just, handle this within the family or what? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that yes, we yes, it happens to Black women more, but because it sometimes happens in the family, a lot of times it never makes it anywhere as far as, telling an adult, a responsible adult who's supposed to be responsible, and then they turn around and protect said person
Hmm.
instead of, protecting your agency, which is,
Yeah.
so not only are you getting it from outside men, you're getting it from men that are close to you.
Yeah. Makes sense. So, Castor Simon, yeah, her.
Pastor Semenya.
Do they go by they or them or she?
She is, she just has um an overload of testosterone.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I didn't know if they went by they or them.
No,
'Cause
not
that,
that I've ever seen, but it's a shame what they're doing to her.
I know. It's really ridiculous. And Josh said Uzo. I don't know who that is.
Usa Aduba.
She
She
played.
played Crazy Eyes in Orange Is the New Black.
She
I
also.
actually met her too.
She also played
Oh, okay, her.
Yeah.
first Black woman to run for president in Miss America.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
know her name. I know this.
they already spoke of them binding the will of God to suit their own means, so his uncle could have toward finding his own companion of choice. Yeah. Uncle wanted Theo,
Uncle had a wife too.
but he wanted Theo.
We know this. He wanted
100.
Theo bad.
Yeah. Um. So because hurting Esther hurts Theo, it does. And he knows that.
Right.
Uncle knows that. So do you think Lieutenant justified his feelings for Theo because Theo had more feminine characteristics? Because he talks about religion a lot. What do you guys think?
Um, Probably. I mean, there's. It's hard to understand in the mind of a religious zealot,
Yeah.
honestly. But there are so many ways to try and justify that, and maybe he's projecting the femininity, or maybe that's his excuse, like she said, for the initial feelings altogether. Like he blames Theo for confusing him.
Yeah. When you're devalued for whatever reason, you lose the control of your own person. Absolutely. And Astra is tired of being devalued. She is tired of being taken advantage of. I mean, I'm sure I am sure others are as well. But I don't know that they fight back the way that Astra does. So, so it is 11 o'clock EST. Do you want to do another sprint or do you want to call it?
Let's ask the comments. Because I'm good with one.
I could do either. I am tired. And I have several hours to spend on my phone before I can fall asleep. So,
All right.
Okay. So let us know in the comments if you want to. Well, if you let us know in the comments, let us know how long you want to sprint for. If you want to sprint again. And then if you want to sprint again after this one, we will be done. Okay, Josh.
it's the proposition.
Yeah.
What?
It's just a proposition.
I feel like we're sufficiently caught up. 0 sprint time. I'm okay with that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
So, I think we are sufficiently caught up. I don't think we have. I mean, I could like drill down into like a whole bunch of stuff, but
We can always discuss some things in the Discord.
yeah.
It's there.
I need
So
to look
it
at
is
the
there.
Discord. I'm really bad at the
Um,
Discord.
Yeah. So we're gonna call it. And I appreciate everyone for stopping by. And if you haven't already hit the like button, go ahead and hit the like button. If you haven't already subscribed, which I think y'all have, go ahead and do that too. And our last one is going to be on Sunday at 7, and it's gonna be, I don't know. We're gonna have, who's in there? You, Ari, me, I don't know.
Tila, Deidre,
And DJ, yeah. So
Emma,
Emma Ray. Emma Ray.
Ray.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. All of us in there. And I will see you guys then. So
Hey, there's another slow read coming down the pipe soon.
yeah. Oh yeah. Go ahead, Ari.
The unofficial schedule for the Broken Earth trilogy slow read is going to start on May 9th and it's going to end August 21st. So it'll be from May 9th to August 21st, and we'll be reading like 5 chapters every week. So we'll start the 5th season on May 9th, and then we kind of want to be done with that first book by June 12th. And we'll probably be doing weekly sprints and everything for that.
So is that right, Ari?
Yeah,
What?
May 9th to August 21st.
Okay. And who is hosting? Because I'm not.
Chloe from Pistol and Verse.
Okay. So Chloe from Thistle and Verse and you, right?
It's gonna be Chloe from Thistle and Verse, me, and she's trying to get Neeks
Okay. Okay.
to host some too, and a couple of other people. She wants a couple of co-hosts. So if anybody is interested in co-hosting, let me know, and I'll give Chloe some names. We'll see if Neeks actually wants to do it, because she's kind of sworn off doing a lot of, lives lately.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
So, all right. So I am going to end. Thank you guys again for joining us. Have a good night. And I will see